ladies and gentlemen, put it together for Lorien Gamaroff, founder, CEO, Centbee. Put your hands together for him as he comes on stage. Louder, 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 louder. The energy in the room should go up. Louder for him. Once again.
Lorien Gamaroff, CEO, Centbee. Lorien Gamaroff is the founder, CEO of Banki-Moon, a blockchain and cryptocurrency consultancy, and co-founder, CEO of Centbee, a cryptocurrency payment and remittance company. He also serves as a Bitcoin Association ambassador. As one of the world's foremost blockchain experts, Lorien has been invited internationally to speak on digital cryptocurrencies and decentralized distributed ledgers and their benefits for emerging economies. He has addressed and advised the United Nations, IMF, World Bank, FBI, and Commonwealth Secretariat, the South African Reserve Bank, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, TEDx, and a host of professionals in multiple industries and attorneys general throughout the world. He offers insight and guidance to universities, business executives, and advises governments on blockchain technologies and their implications. He pioneered blockchain payments for utility smart metering and was the co-founder of the Blockchain Academy, which educates professionals on all aspects of blockchains from regulations to software development. With a rousing ovation, let's make welcome Lorien Gamaroff.
It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. I'd especially like to sincerely thank Director General, Mr. Abdullahi from NITDA for making this event possible. You're certainly a leader in Africa and the world by example, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you very much. And of course, I'd like to thank Mr. Jaga, Mohammed Jaga, co-founder of Dominion. He's always an incredibly gracious host, and always makes my stay here in Nigeria wonderful. So thank you very much for that too. So before I talk about Centbee and how we are successfully leveraging blockchain for payments, which really was the original intention of Bitcoin to make low-cost digital cash payments possible, I want to just spend a few minutes talking about things a little bit more generally, because of course even after 10 years now, in fact more than 10 years of conferences and all sorts of things going on, blockchain still seems to be a bit of a mystery, because of course there are many voices in this space, and there seems to be a lot of conflicting ideas, narratives that really make it very confusing when it comes to trying to get into blockchain. Of course, you hear about people who are trading cryptocurrencies, and then you hear about people who are leveraging blockchain for its data capabilities. And so I just want to give a little bit of a context, a little bit of a historical context to help you see really cut through all the mystique and the narratives to get a better grounding and a better understanding about what's going on over here. Now, there's this famous saying, and I'm sure you've all heard it. It says, if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. Now, that of course means that if you don't know from history, if you don't learn from history, you're probably going to be making the same sorts of mistakes. But there's something else about history that can help us, apart from avoiding mistakes. And that's really to gain insight into where the world is going. Because of course there are new things, there are new innovations that change the world, things that surprise us, things that come up that we had never had any possibility of understanding and having fathoming. But of course history shows us that things tend to work in patterns, and the same sorts of processes tend to follow. And of course, I'm going to talk a bit about my history quickly. When I was a student at university in the 90s, I was doing a computer science degree. And that was a very exciting time to be a computer science student, because of course that's when the internet was being commercialized. Of course, networking had been in existence for a few decades before then. But that was really the time when Netscape was created, and people started looking at the internet, and I'm talking about general people, not just students at universities or researchers at technical institutions, seeing that the internet is going to become something that transforms how we communicate and how we share information. But in those days, it was unclear how that would look. And of course, there were many different kinds of internetworks that were being created. Some were being created for specific reasons and for specific tasks. And it was quite a messy, noisy space. I'm sure many of you who are very young aren't aware of this, and those who are older could possibly remember the time when we had these different networks going on. But of course, what happened was the world ended up settling on the single internetwork. And that was because it was just the most obvious choice. If we have different organizations and different businesses and different entities all wanting to be able to communicate easily and efficiently and inexpensively, it just made sense that there was going to be a single network that could support all the communication, all the information, all the images, all the photos, all the e-commerce transactions, all that ended up being the most efficient way was a single network, and that's what we have today, which is the internet. But of course, in those days, and when I left university, I started an internet company, and the task there, the difficult job there, was to try and convince government and big financial institutions, because I was working with financial institutions, but other kinds of companies, that they could actually trust this global network that was maintained and supported by private entities, all incentivized to be able to create the infrastructure that supported this. But of course, from a government point of view or from a large financial institution point of view, they were skeptical that this public network infrastructure that wasn't under their control could be something that they could leverage safely and efficiently. And of course, the rest is history, because today we have government agencies using the internet and sending emails, publishing information. We've got banks that are using the internet to facilitate transactions and all that sort of thing. Now, when we look at blockchain today, after 12 years now, what we have really is exactly what we had back in the 90s, is we have this proliferation of all these different blockchain networks all trying to do different things. And the feeling, or at least the sense that you get, is that, okay, there's going to be different blockchains for different things. We're going to have Ethereum, which is going to do all our smart contracts. And we're going to have Ripple that somehow connects banks. And all these different things. But in my mind, if I look back at how it worked, I believe very strongly that we are going to be having a world that has a single blockchain, simply because of the necessity of creating efficient communication network and a transactional network. And this is why those supporters of the BSV blockchain, which, by the way, is the original Bitcoin protocol, which just means design, that it itself is going to be that blockchain that supports this entire industry of all these wonderful things that we imagine are going to happen and we see happening today. So when you look at blockchain today, of course it seems noisy and you think to yourself, which blockchain should I pick? Well, we have a single protocol for the internet which has remained unchanged for the last 20, 30 years. And all that, the innovation that has happened on top of that blockchain. And in the same way, we're going to see all the innovation, all these companies, all these ideas that you might have, and all these ideas that you're hearing here today, that is where the innovation is going to happen, on top of this very stable, extremely scalable, and low-cost blockchain network. And in my mind, that's going to be the BSV blockchain. And when it comes to the internet, though, of course, one of the biggest issues was payments. And we knew that in those days, up till today even, that the credit card networks, they were never built for the internet. Transactions on using credit cards are too expensive. And what that's done is it has made it impossible for innovative business models that depend on low-cost payments to ever be able to be achieved. No businesses out there today have been able to create a successful business model that allows people to pay small fractional amounts of money, or even point of paying 1 naira for a service. Because of course there's no payment technology that can support that. And that's what BSV blockchain, that was the promise of BSV blockchain, and we see it today. And Centbee itself, we are now demonstrating the success of a low-cost transactional network being able to facilitate micropayments and small casual payments for Africa, even though Centbee is a global business and a global company. And of course, there's also digital currencies haven't been, it's not new. There have been many different attempts. And the question is, what is it that made Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin protocol, successful as a digital payment network? Well, that of course speaks to the transparency of the network. That general ledger, that distributed ledger, that is pseudonymous, which means you can see those transactions and you can link those transactions to identities so that you can enable things like KYC and AML. And that is really the success and why Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin, BSV Bitcoin, will be successful and is showing a success simply because regulators are now seeing that you can do all the right sort of compliance when it comes to payments on the internet. So we now have this distributed ledger, this blockchain, the single network in the same way we have the internet, and this is going to be where we can now pursue all these innovative ideas. And I want you to think micropayment. You know, it's almost like a strange thing to think about micropayments because we've never had that capability before in the world. So if you want to find an opportunity in this space, see how you can provide a service that requires micropayments. And I'm talking about very low cost, very low value transactions. There's an opportunity there. If you can find a way of creating a business that leverages the low cost transactional nature of the BSV blockchain, I believe there's going to be much fruit in that space. And of course, Centbee, we're very excited about that. And I'm going to explain to you now how we are doing this and what we have there as well. So of course, a very important thing here for this to be successful is that we leverage the transparent nature of the blockchain. We see how we can still do the right sort of compliance when it comes to all the anti-money laundering and terrorist financing checks and so on. And Centbee has been doing this now since our inception. We recently graduated out of the South African Reserve Bank regulatory sandbox. What they did there was that they wanted to see crypto companies, so to speak, see how they are working, and they wanted to see, is it possible for them to be able to have visibility on what is going on in a crypto company. And what we see there in South Africa is that they've now are feeling comfortable with this. And this is a very important thing for us to always express, because as I said, there is so much misinformation out there on the internet when it comes to social media especially. And we hear about concepts like decentralization. And remember, decentralization is not about being unstoppable. That's actually a false narrative. The whole idea around decentralization was for two reasons, really. One was for redundancy. In other words, you can have a network that if one part of the network goes down or fails, you can have a redundancy in another part of the network. That's part of the decentralizing aspect. But of course, decentralization means that people can now have digital payments without having to connect to a central server or a central entity. They can actually do peer-to-peer digital cash payments. Peer-to-peer means from me to you, not from me to an institution to you. And that's really what decentralization means. It doesn't mean being unstoppable or uncensorable or uncontrollable. And those are the narratives that exist on social media and unfortunately have really stunted the growth of blockchain-based companies, because regulators who are not informed about these things hear what is going on in social media and they think, oh my goodness, I'm not going to allow a network that we cannot control and that we cannot have oversight over. So the lesson here is don't believe everything that you hear on social media. But before I carry on with this, because this is something I could talk a long time about, I want to show to you how Centbee, based in South Africa, although a global payments company, has now been able to successfully leverage Bitcoin as a payment system. And I'm very pleased to say that we are also now, in about a week's time, we're going to be launching here in Nigeria with a whole lot of features, and I'm going to explain to you those features as well. So I'm very excited to announce that, and I hope that you all, download Centbee today, but in a week's time, you'll be able to see some of the features that, well, all of the features that I'm going to explain to you today. So first of all, Centbee really has two products. One is a traditional financials product, which is just a cross-border remittance product called Minute Money. And that just allows people to send money from South Africa to a number of African countries, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, a number of those using BSV blockchain to make those payments a lot cheaper. But what I want to focus on is Centbee Wallet, because this is really demonstrates the power of a low-cost digital cash payment network that is regulatory compliant and that can really open up a lot of economic power when it comes to this new digital world that we're entering into in terms of payments. We know that central banks around the world and banks are pushing for a cashless society. Now, for a lot of us that might sound impossible or scary, but this is an inevitability, especially as mobile device and data network proliferation expands across the world. And so what we see here is how BSV blockchain really can actually make that a reality because of all its wonderful properties. So first of all, the most important thing is how do you get Bitcoin? And this has been something that we've been trying to tackle, everyone's been trying to tackle for a long time. Now, of course, we have businesses like Paxful, which allow peer-to-peer trading, but really the barrier to entry that we find is that it's very difficult to acquire digital cash so that you can go and use it as digital cash. And so one of the things that we've tried very hard to do is make top-ups possible. So what we have is integrated into a number of payment providers, and there's a few available here in Nigeria. We've got a particular one that you can use today. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to use a credit card or debit card to be able to top up. But our mission, and I think the mission of all people who are interested in BSV as a digital cash system, is to try and find payment providers that can actually make it easier for people to be able to top up and acquire their Bitcoin. What we've also done, and this is the most important thing, if you've got cash in your wallet, you don't want to just sit on it, and you don't want to just watch it grow, because of course cash in your pocket is not about investments. You want to be able to spend it. And so we've gone and made a huge effort to integrate into a lot of digital gift card networks around the world. And in fact, this is now what we're going to be launching here in Nigeria. A whole lot of ways that you can go and spend your Bitcoin for things like mobile data, top-ups, shopping at the local retail stores, shopping online. And this is going to give you an opportunity to now use Bitcoin to be able to actually shop. Now, what's great is that we are in many countries, over 100 countries, and if you've got relatives around the world or somebody that you want to gift, it's now extremely easy to be able to purchase these retail credit or gift cards for people, and I encourage you to give it a shot. This is basically just a snapshot of some of the brands that we support. Now, we support hundreds of brands, all the top brands, so from in America, places like Walmart and Target and Amazon.com, all the way through to the East in Japan, where you can get Nintendo or something like that. So if you open up Centbee in about a week's time, you're going to see how many different places you can spend here in Nigeria, and I'm very excited about announcing that, and you can give it a shot. Now, another thing that we wanted to do is we want people to be allowed to accept payments, but not just normal people, merchants as well. And so Centbee Wallet now integrates the point of sale into the wallet, where you can now use your Centbee wallet as a point of sale to accept digital cash. You can create invoices, and you can do payment requests. What you can also do if you're a business here in Nigeria and you want people to be able to pay you easily with Bitcoin SV, then you can get yourself listed as a merchant on Centbee Wallet, and then people will be able to easily find you on the app and inside the map. So this is going to be a great way for you to actually get yourself on the map and allow people around the world, around your neighborhood or your district, to be able to see that you accept Bitcoin SV. By the way, we are also going to be soon supporting some stable coins. So that's something on our roadmap. Although I want to tell you that it's not about Bitcoin or any other crypto. It's about cash. It's about cash, digital cash, that is low cost. In other words, you need to spend less than an naira in terms of the transaction fees. And so our whole mission here is not to try and convince you to get into Bitcoin SV or anything like that, but it's to appeal to a target market of people out there. And in fact, our target that we think is a great one are young people, the 16 to 25-year-olds, who don't necessarily have credit cards or debit cards or anything like that, but still want to, what we say, activate your lifestyle. They still want to purchase things. They still want to shop online. They want to get an Uber, or they want to do something like that. And so this is about cash, low-cost cash. And so it doesn't matter to us, really, except for the fact that the BSV blockchain, to me, is going to be the only scalable blockchain that succeeds. But it's not about that particular crypto or its name. It's really the low-cost digital cash aspect. And so in all our marketing, we're trying to express cash. It's about digital cash. Another thing that we have is Centbee connects to your contacts in your phone. So if you have a friend in your phone book who also has a Centbee wallet, you can easily connect to them right there, and you can then send them money. You can also you can request payments. So if somebody owes you money, you can go and send them a little notification in the wallet. You can say, hey, you owe me 10,000 Naira. And what will happen is they will receive a notification in their wallet, and you can accept it or not. So if somebody wants you to pay them, it's very easy to accept or deny. And this is a great way to now accept these payments. By the way, I'm going to come back to all these features in a second, because just as a clue what's coming, these are all features that most payment regulators around the world are trying to achieve in the traditional financial space. And I'll come back to that in a second. This is a new thing we just launched now with V3, version 3, what we call Chat Pay. Centbee, really, the whole point about Centbee was that it is a social networking app. You've all seen social networking apps that are opinion, like Twitter, or photos, like Instagram, or family, like Facebook. And we think that there's a great niche here, and we've seen it in some apps that are out there, payment apps like Venmo and so on, that are trying to make payments a little bit more social. And we think that there's a great niche there for social payments. And so one of the things that we've now just included, and this is, by the way, why Centbee looks like a chat bubble. From the very beginning, I intended Centbee to be a social networking app for chat. And now that we've just launched this, and you can now go and easily when you talk to your friends, chat to your friends, easily send them cash, and it's a great way to be social with your payments. So give this a shot. I'll just give you a little second there to see how it works. Send them a little text message. You can choose how much you want to send them, and it gets there. And of course, what's very important, and this is again why BSV blockchain will succeed, is because of the instant nature of settlement of the payment. If you make a payment on the BSV blockchain, you don't have to wait hours for that payment to be received. As soon as you receive it, within seconds, you're able to then spend it again. And again, another feature that payment regulators around the world are trying to achieve with current networks. This is now something that we also are very excited about. We did have Minute Money, which is doing cross-border remittance from South Africa into the African corridors. But now we've incorporated that into Centbee Wallet. So you can be in the UK, you can be in America, and what can happen now is you can instantly, within a few minutes, deposit money into a Nigerian bank account or a mobile money account or a cash collection using Centbee. So we've now brought that cross-border remittance feature into Centbee Wallet, and it's now very easy to be able to send money home to your loved ones if you're traveling abroad, or if you're working overseas. And I know there's many Nigerians who send money home all the time. Maybe what you can do now is you can actually use Centbee Wallet to be able to really cheaply and very quickly send money back here. This is something that we think is going to be tremendously successful as well, and something we're excited about. Again, this is now something that is going to be available from about next week or so. All right, so this is just what you would do. You would just put in an amount, it would calculate the value, and you'll be able to then send it, and it takes a few minutes. So tell your friends, if you have family or friends overseas, if they are living in the UK or in America or in South Africa, tell them to get a Centbee wallet, because you're not going to find a quicker, cheaper way, leveraging BSV blockchain, to be able to remit money home to your family. than this. So I encourage you to tell everyone you know. And what we want to do, of course, and this is another wonderful thing about the BSV blockchain, is that because the payments are so cheap, you know, like I said, eventually in the order of less than £1 to be able to make a payment, what we are able to do as well inside Centbee Wallet is reward your actions. And so if you shop, or if you send money, or if you even just browse and you create a profile, you do your KYC, which is your customer, your ID verification, a very important thing, because of course ID is necessary if you are engaging in a financial services product. Then what you'll do is you'll earn what we call honey. And so it just shows you that BSV blockchain really makes it easy to reward your users for their actions, because the payment to be able to pay them just a few naira as a reward for changing their theme or setting up their profile, then we can easily send small little rewards all the time for all that engagement. And it's an actual cash payment, it's an actual cash transaction into your wallet. And BSV blockchain makes that possible because of its low cost nature. So it's a wonderful way of creating a reward system for your customers. So if you are looking at rewarding customers, reward them with digital cash, because it's just so cheap to do so. So this is something that what we call personal pay mail. And what you can do now in Centbee is that if you've got an email address, Lorien@gamaroff.org, that's my personal email, then what you can do is you can link it to your Centbee wallet, and if somebody wants to pay you, instead of knowing the complicated Bitcoin information, you can just give them your email address, and they can then easily send you money. Now, I want to just, before I finish, I want to just talk about one more thing here. Everything that I've spoken about here, because everything that I've just now showed you and explained to you, these are features that all payments regulators around the world are trying to do on the existing payment networks. They are all trying to create instant digital cash payments that are non-disputable, that can be spent immediately, that you have an addressing scheme to be able to pay people without having to know complicated technical information, like an email address, to be able to confirm that the person you're paying is the person that you want to pay. So being able to check, is this person the person I want to pay? I need to get beneficiary confirmation. The ability to request payments, and the ability to do cross-border payments. Every one of these things, and this is now a list that I got from the Payments Association of South Africa, which is a regulatory body in South Africa that regulates payments. They've neatly organized these points. These are all things that payments regulators around the world want to try and achieve. And even CBDCs and so on, they are going to need to be able to deliver those features. But as we've seen when it comes to payment networks around the world, and traditionally, it's been very difficult to be able to create those networks that are low cost enough and being able to deliver these features. And that is why using the BSV blockchain for your CBDC or anything else, that is the only way you're going to be able to achieve what payment regulators around the world are trying to do with traditional financial networks and systems, but cannot yet. And can you see now, in one app and one company, by leveraging BSV blockchain, has been able to now achieve that. And it's a great demonstration of the true value that blockchain has for us. But of course, it's not the only value, because we know that Bitcoin represents bits, which is data as well, and being able to do all these other amazing things. So I'm very excited about this, and I hope that you are too, and I hope that you get Centbee, and I hope that I see you from next week being able to make purchases and doing remittance, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. And thank you very much for your time. I'm very grateful. Thank you.